So a massive warm welcome to everybody on this call. My name is Des Finance. I believe that you all know who I am. I'm an Icon 50 in the company, a servant leader. And my story is very simple. Used to be a school teacher, now in the financial markets, and I've not looked back. This industry is absolutely incredible. I couldn't believe my luck that um, the financial markets and home business could come together in this way. So anyone on this call who um, is fairly new to this industry, I want you to know that you are in an incredible, incredible industry. And as long as you apply all the teachings, there is no reason why you cannot achieve your financial goals. So a big shout to Shannon, who has organized these icon mentorship calls, steps to becoming a six-figure income earner. The phrase I want you to write down right now is success leaves clues. Just so that you know, I'm not a genius. I may look like a genius, but I'm actually not a genius. I tell you what I am. I'm a copycat. I am the world's greatest copycat. I'm a product of the six-figure and seven-figure income earners that came before me. I'm just a student of the game. Back in the day, I would turn up to trainings like this. I'd have my notepad, I'd have my pen, I'd make notes, I'd go to conventions, I'd make copious notes, I'd come back and I would simply implement. We've all heard the phrase that knowledge is power, but no, applied knowledge is power. I was so hungry when I came into this industry that I was just willing to do whatever it took to make it. So I'm just a product of people's trainings. And I'm just passing it on right now, of course, adding my own twist and experiences and so on and so forth. But I say all of that to say that you don't have to be great to be successful in this business. You just have to be a copycat or someone who's willing to take action. People often say, in Dubai, a lot of people coming up to me, hey, how did you do it? How did you do it? I'm an action man. I'm just an action man. I take immediate action. And I encourage you all to just take action. So that being said, tap routine training. And I always start these trainings with, if you do not come from a wealthy family, then a wealthy family must come from you. This industry creates 10,000 new millionaires every single year. In Dubai, we witnessed a whole heap of brand new millionaires. So my attitude, when I saw this stat, I said, I'm going to become one of them. It's just a decision. We are completely in control of our life experience. Okay. We can create the life that we want. So I wanted to create this life and I was very, very intentional. So today's objective is to learn how to taproot through your organization to build depth and so that you can grow. We're building depth. This is powerful. So I mentioned at the top of the call that when I first got started in network marketing, it was with another company that were the first to do trading and networking. And I rose through the ranks quite quickly, but then I got stuck at the rank that was paying me $2,000 a month. I say stuck because I was grateful, right? But I was stuck because I was actually on a knife edge. I was still teaching. I was making 2,000 a month. My trading income, I was still teaching. As a teacher, I was probably taking home just under 4K a month. I was not going to survive on 2K. And my family set me a deadline. I've never told this before. My family said if I didn't hit P5K by a certain deadline, then I'd have to just give it a miss. I mean, I would have rebelled, right? And I would have pushed for an extension, of course, right? But that was the deadline, and I took it seriously because you know how it is. A lot of people don't believe in what we do. They think it's this and they think it's that. So I really needed to make this work, and I was at this 2,000 a month rank, and then somebody introduced me to the concept of tap rooting, and I promise you, this was when everything changed in my organization. Just understanding tap routing is an absolute blessing. So let's start off with the obvious. What is tap routing? So tap routing is tapping into your team members' contacts and their inner circle, right? Let me let you into a little secret. Whenever someone joins my business, I'm excited. But you know what I'm more excited about? Their phone book, their inner circle. I'm excited about their social media contacts right? Because I'm excited about that person, but in their phone book, this is how my mind works. Their phone book contains gold. Do you know that there's a Zayn Khan in your phone book? Do you know that there's a Samantha, a Shannon Hughes in your phone book? Do you know that there's a Sherelle in your phone book? Do you know there's a Shreyas in your phone? Do you know that there's a Jason Agbods in your phone book? There's a David Hunt in your phone. In your team member's phone book is the next big thing, right? We all know in our phone books we've got a vast array of different people, and this is a reminder for me to remind you: never prejudge, because you might have a team member that may be a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe a bit slack, maybe a bit, sometime-ish. They may be a bit, they're fairly plugged in, but not plugged in. But guess what's in their phone book? The next premium bells. So I'm constantly on a hunt to get into people's phone books, right? Shannon just put, I was one of those. And I'm going to give some examples. There's many people on this call. You are a product of a taproot. You are here because of a taproot. Okay, so tapping into your team members' contacts in a circle, and getting to your customers or your leaders' contacts. You're getting into their contacts, into their inner circle. When you go through an individual to the next person and then to the next person, you can keep driving through and never stop. When I realized this, because up until this point, I thought, has anyone ever heard this before? I've run out of people. I don't know anyone else. I've gone through everybody. I was like that. I said, I've exhausted my warm market. What I didn't realize was that I was sitting on gold. I managed to build to the equivalent of Icon 25 in my first company because I learned this secret and I kept driving. Some of the people who are in economy right now are only here because I taprooted back in that company and they've just followed me, into the different companies. So we're going to keep driving. Remember, if I'm going into my contacts and I've signed up Peter, and I go into Peter's contacts and I sign up Shelly, and then I go into those contacts and I find Terry, right? I can keep going. It never needs to stop. So if you look at this picture on your screen right now, you can see, different people, they're random people, okay? But let's just assume that the lady on the end is the next big thing, right? So this is Claudia, right? At the end. So imagine, this is Claudia right now, but the person actually signed up was this lady here, and we're going to call her Linda, right? So this is Linda, I've signed Linda. Linda comes into the business, she places a few trades, and life starts lifing. Shannon, we get that a lot, don't we? Life is lifing. Life is lifing. And life lives. Of course, life lives, life lives. So she quit. But before she left, she did do a little tour, 3 and 3. So she brought in Jeremy. Jeremy came in. He's a bit of a big shot. He comes in, he starts learning how to trade, teaches the team how to trade, right? But then he decides that he wants to go off and become an independent trader. But before he left, we managed to taproot him, and we brought in Mabel. Mabel's here now. You're starting to get the gist. We're going through until we find gold. We're constantly looking for the diamond. We're always looking for a diamond, because the fact of the matter is, I'm going to come on to it later, but people quit this business, whether we like it or not. But we're looking to find the diamonds. Everyone has, if you adopt the mindset that everybody has gold in their phone books, regardless of what their activity is like. Because sometimes we make the mistake of thinking, oh, because this one's a hot shot, they may know other hot shots. Because this one is a bit flaky, I don't think their phone. No, we cannot prejudge. Just treat everybody like they have gold in their phone book. So, how were you found? Think about how you were found, right? You were probably a product of a taproot. So going through, so Shannon, I don't know if you want to just come on quickly and explain your taproot situation to give a real life example.
Oh no! So when I said that, I said one of them ones, like
Oh, one of them ones. Okay, right.
A bit slacky. I wasn't actually a taproot. I was directly recruited by Premium Bells himself.
Right. Okay. Yes, I knew that. I thought there was a story behind it. Absolutely. So I'm looking at Gosia on the call, right? So Gosia, we met in a previous company. In fact, it's a really funny story. So how we found Gosia was I worked with a lady called Caroline Hughes, and she was a French teacher. So when I was building a business, of course, my colleagues were my instant, warm market. So I actually brought Caroline to my office that I had, and I gave her a presentation, and she was smiley, and she said, I like it, but I just don't think it's for me. And then remember, she's not even joined the business, right? And then I asked her a question. I just said, okay, that's fine, but do you know anybody else that may be interested? And then she put me in touch with someone called David and Anne-Marie. We worked with them for a while, and then they brought in someone who eventually led me to Gosha, who's on the call right now. Gosha has been with me in about 5 or 6 different businesses where we're close friends now, right? But she wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the taproot and if it wasn't for me just asking that simple question. Is there anyone else that you think may be interested? So these little questions, these little techniques I'm going to teach you, they can lead to gold. Gosha is one of the most international leaders that I have in the team. So why Taproot? So that you never run out of prospects, so that you can build a deep organization with a constant flow of new members. That sounds great, right? Having a constant flow. Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can teach. So it's not just you taprooting. Imagine all your leaders are taprooting. Now your organization is growing exponentially. And you get to build relationships with team members who may even be several levels deep. That's what I love about this. Sometimes I just dive in. I was in Jason's organization the other day, and I just took a deep dive in, and I grabbed someone who was right at the bottom, who was just really hungry. Um, you know, Sometimes you can have people who are quite low down in your organization, but are just hungry and they've got the right energy. And you might just want to connect with them and taproot. Sometimes taprooting as a verb can sound quite what's the word I'm looking for? It can sound quite um it can sound quite cutthroat, right? Like I'm gonna tap like there's no kind of feelings and relationships behind it. But you can see here, you're actually building relationships with your team members, right? Sherelle, remember when I got hold of there was two Jamaican as a Jamaican couple in Jason's team who were, just joined the business, but they were full of energy. And I started working with them because they were just so full of energy, so full of life. And we did an affiliate launch call. They started hitting so many ranks, right? But we built relationships. I know their kids' names, I know their kids' birthdays. We've not gone out for a meal, but we could quite easily all go out for a meal. So we are building relationships while we are getting into their contacts so that we can, continue to build our organization. Have a look at this. It's from a gentleman that I think we all know, Mr. Bill Gates. There is oh, by the way, he's a big fan of network marketing. So is Donald Trump, love him or hate him. So there's a whole heap of people who are fans of network marketing. There, he said, I simply showed the plan to 1,200 people. 900 said no. Only 300 signed up. Out of those 300, only 85 did anything at all. And out of those 85, only 35 were serious. And out of those 35, 11 made me a millionaire. I hate the phrase I'm about to say next, but it is the case. Unfortunately, this is a numbers game. Yeah, it's a numbers game. Whether you go to some trainings and people say, "Oh, it's not a numbers game." It is a numbers game, right? We're looking at our numbers now as we close out the day. Of course, it's a numbers game. We have to be realistic. Some people just like to be anti what it is just to sound kind of quirky. But, we have to understand that people are going to quit. People are going to quit. Network marketing is a numbers game. People quit. Has anyone here lost a member before? Right? It's a bit of a rhetorical question. I think we all have. People quit the business. We need to close as many people as possible and taproot as many people as possible in case they quit. Because if someone quits your business and you've not taprooted them, then you've not just lost that person, you've lost their contacts as well. So I always try to taproot as quick as possible, because if the person does leave, if they do leave, well, at least we've taprooted their organization. I will do a Q&A at the end as well, guys. So do write down your questions. Why do people quit? You can put some answers in the chat box. It could be for a whole heap of things. We already said life is life in. They've spoken to their partner, and their partner have said it's this and it's that. You know, let me dive into the chat. What we've got here. They don't see results. You know, could be so many things. Could be so many things. Maybe they're not plugged in. A lot of people, they pay for the subscription and they don't do anything for a whole month, you know, and no belief. Absolutely. People quit for a whole heap of reasons. What we need to do is we need to not have an emotional attachment to people quitting, because it happens. It happens to all of us. Okay. It's just the way it is. It's just part of the game. It just wasn't their time. We need to tap root quick, because people are always quitting the business, and we need to have that constant flow. So how do you tap root? Well, you can reach out to anyone in your organization and offer help at any time. I could dive into my organization right now. Of course, let me just caveat this, guys. You always want to show respect to the upline lineage. So before I worked with that Jamaican couple, I reached out to Jason and Nicola and said, hey, you know, is there anyone in your team who's fired up, who could really do with working with me, and you know, blah, 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 blah. And they identified them. I reached out and said, hey, how you doing? You can imagine they were excited to hear from me, and so on and so forth. But you can reach out to anyone in your organization as long as you show respect to the upline lineage and offer help, especially if you see something in someone and you think, you know what, I really want to work with them and help build their organization. So it works very well with people who are already open to building. So it might be that there's someone in the team who wants to build, but they just need a bit of help. Well, we're going to get straight in there and we're going to help them build. That's easy. But also, we need to become skilled at converting customers into builders. And one of the easiest ways to do that is during a check-in. You guys are checking in with your customers, right? To make sure that they're making money. So when I have my check-ins with my customers, I will, you know, go through the products they're using, go through their results, you know, go through their why, you know, all of those things. But at some point in that call, I'm going to try to convert them into building. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to help them get their free subscription. So I always use a line like this. I normally say something like, are you, your bill is due in 8 days. Are you okay paying your monthly subscription, or would you like some help to get it for free? Pardon? What do you mean? Sometimes they forget that there's even a free and free, right? But the fact that you're offering to help them get their free and free, people normally do respond positively to that. Because what you're not saying is, do you want to become a network marketer? That can sound scary to some people. But if you're just offering help to get their free and free, well, that sounds great. Would you like me to help you get your free and free? Okay. Yes or no? If they say yes, great. You know, you could, depend on how that conversation goes, you could introduce them to the compensation plan. It's a case by case. You will know whether it's right to talk about the building side, and you will know whether, no, let me just keep it on free and free. Because just helping them get their free and free is an opportunity to get into their contacts, right? Or you can link the conversation to their goals. If they're saying that they want to get to 10K a month within a year, well, maybe trading is too slow. So you can offer them an alternative way of getting to their freedom number. 10,000 a month. Well, do you want to go fast or do you want to go slow? Oh, somebody told me off for that actually. They said always end on a positive. So do you want to go slow or do you want to go fast? Right? Hopefully they'll say fast. Okay, brilliant. Well, let me introduce you to the other side of the business. Now we're going to help them to taproot. Or you could leverage an incentive. You might say, hey, did you see the incentive that Shannon put in the group? What did you think of it? Oh, it sounds amazing. I'd love to go on that holiday. What would you like me to help you with that incentive? Right? We have to be creative. We are finding creative ways for them to open up their contact list. That is all taprooting is. And then, you know, when there's new people coming. So my best momentum is when this happens. I'm helping people to get into their contacts. New people are coming in, and then I'm helping those new people to get into their contacts, and we're just keeping this going. And when I'm in the trenches, when you hear me say I'm in the trenches, this is what I'm doing. I'm just building out the business, blowing it out. You could just blow out your business from people in your organization. And the bigger you get, the more opportunities there are to taproot. And then again, teach this to your team so that everyone is doing this. So Peter is a person. Peter's a random person. Okay. So I want to get into Peter's organization and inner circle before he quits. Okay. I need to do that because I want to taproot. I need to tap into his relationships. Why? Because I'm looking for a diamond rock star. I want to be clear. I want to be very clear about what I'm doing. Yes, I'm going to get a few customers along the way and they're going to be great. But what I'm really looking for is that diamond rock star. If I had a pack of cards and I was to turn them over, they represent the members in your business. You're going to have some twos. A two is like somebody who maybe starts and quits very quickly. You're going to have some threes, some fours, some tens, some queens, some kings. We're looking for the kings and the queens and the aces. No jokers. We don't want any jokers. There's no joke. We don't want any jokers in the pack. Right. But we're looking for the diamonds. We're looking for the diamond rock star. How do we find them? It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Right? Shannon said she wasn't a taproot, but she was. If you think about her relationship between her and um in her first company, it would have been somebody like David Imonite, right? She would have been several levels deep from the highest person in the organization. So somebody would record it, someone who recruited someone who recruited someone who recruited Zane, who recruited someone who recruited Bells. It's all everyone is a taproot. It's just whether you're intentional about taprooting. That is the difference. So a question you might want to ask is, who do you know who would want to make some extra money? Who do you know? It's a nice open question. Who do you know would like to make some extra money? You could keep it generic like that and get them to make a list. Oh, I think I know a few people. And they get them to make a list. But there are more aggressive ways of taprooting, which I'm going to teach you. But be creative. Be very creative. Or another question is, who do you know who is willing to follow you? If you're speaking to another leader and you're looking for other leaders. Fear of loss. I love this. So imagine I tapped root Peter and I signed up April. April's a rock star. She's gone crazy. I can then go back to Peter and say, hey, Peter, you may quit. Peter may have even quit the business by now, or maybe he's just plodding along. But imagine I can go back to Peter and say, hey, you may not know, but you are literally sitting on a gold mine. April, remember April, who came in on your affiliate launch? She's gone crazy. She's gone crazy. She's about to hit Prodigy 3K. So now all you need to do, Peter, can you see where I'm going with this? Now I'm motivating Peter to get back in the trenches, or to at least, guys, of course, if you know that one side of your organization has gone crazy and all you've got to do is match it, it's going to motivate you to take some action. Okay. Top tip: if you are prospecting somebody and they say no, it's not for me, don't just take no lying down. Now, I'm not saying fight with them or challenge them. I'm saying if somebody says no to joining your business, are you consistently asking the question, no worries, do you know anyone else who may be interested in the business? Now, the chances are they may say no again. That's absolutely fine. But what if one in every 20 times you said that, somebody said, actually, I do know somebody, just like my colleague Caroline did, and I ended up with a couple that did really well, and Gosha, who's on this call right now. Just by asking that question, do you know anyone else who may be interested in the business? That way, I'm taking a no and converting it into a potential lead. Sometimes people say, do you know what? My nephew, he loves this kind of stuff. Let me introduce you to my nephew. Happens all the time. Another top tip: if somebody says they cannot afford to join, right? Of course, use the normal objection handling. But here's a little trick that I've used sometimes. If somebody genuinely cannot afford to join your business, I always say to them, is that the real reason? Is the real reason money? Because if it's something else, then let's address that. And let's say they say, no, it is money. I just can't afford it. Okay, cool. So now what you can do, okay, only use this sparingly. What you can do is get them started as an affiliate only. It costs $30 for the first month, and then it's $15 a month after that. If they really can't afford the $30, then you may want to consider sponsoring them. Why? It's a business, guys. It's like any kind of business investment. especially if you think this person could have potential. Now, what are we doing here? We're going to taproot them before they even join. How are we going to do this? We are going to say to them, look, I'm going to sponsor you, or I'm going to give you a way into the business as an affiliate, but in order to help you buy your package, we're gonna get you, ranked up. So we're gonna organize an affiliate launch call. So what we're doing now is we're giving the person who can't afford to get in, who I'm assuming is super excited, really wants to start, but just doesn't have the money to get started. So what we're gonna do is do a trade-off, right? We're gonna get you started for a much cheaper amount, or I'm even gonna sponsor you. But in return for that, I want you to create a list of 200 names and numbers, and I'm going to teach you how to invite those people onto a prospect call similar to the one that they probably joined, so they know what a prospect call is, right? And then they're going to invite those 200 people onto a call. Wow, this is taprooting at its finest, because now you potentially have new people. I've done this before, and it's led to gold. And that person didn't, the original person didn't even end up doing much. But what came from them, some very serious leaders, right? Because you never know who's in someone's phone book. Okay. So that is a very good top tip for anyone who cannot afford to join. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about taprooting, how they used to do it back in the day. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm saying that you should do it. I want you to just have this up your sleeve, because in some geographical regions, this still works. So back in the day, just before my time in network marketing, you would turn up to an event, and then when you join the business, right? So the minute you've joined the business at the event, somebody, a leader, would come up to you with a pen and paper and say, welcome to the business. It's culture here that write down 200 names and numbers, and I want you to do that right now. And back in the day, that was normal. I promise you. Anyway, I'm not sure if anyone's on the call who's been in network marketing longer than 7 years, but surely someone can back up what I've just said. That was absolutely normal. And people would just do it because it was just made to seem like it was normal, right? Now people have become a bit more cynical, right? And if you did that now, especially in the UK, people will be like, oh my God, what is going on here? It's one of those things, and they'd start freaking out. And I get it. Okay, I get it. I'd probably freak out as well, right? But the only reason I'm telling you that is so that you kind of know the history of tap routing. But there are some geographical regions around the world where that still works, right? And people are tap routing in that very aggressive way. Someone joins, I want a list of 200. Everyone needs to do a list. It's like an expectation. You join, you do a list. You join, you do a list. So I mentioned earlier that you get to build relationships with people way down in your team. Okay, with the permission of the uplines, you could actually, I could go into my organization now, right? I could go, I could actually work with somebody who just joined today. Shannon could call me now and say, hey, there's this person who's just joined. Their name's Johnny. They're absolutely incredible. They're super excited. I think they'd really benefit from working with you. I would be so excited to work with them, because there's nothing greater for a leader than working with a hungry, willing participant who is open and ready, is not jaded, doesn't have any preconceived ideas. They're just like fresh faced and like, I love this industry. I want to go crazy. I love those people. I love working with those people because they're so coachable, right? So I'm happy to do that, because from that one person, I've got the skill set to pack out a call, 40 people, and we could sign up about 6, 7 people, breathing new life into the organization. That's how you you breathe life into the organization. So again, you're offering to help people, you're getting to know them. Don't just be savage and just be cutthroat. I want a list. No, build the relationship. Okay, get to know their why, their birthday, their kids' birthdays. Really get to know them as you're helping to build. If you get that right, you're gonna either build or find some incredible, incredible leaders. Um, this is just another technique. Would you like 2 streams of income? Arrange a one-on-one call with the downline member, either on Zoom or in person. Give them a pre-task. This is someone who's willing and able, willing to build. Give them a pre-task to bring 20 names to the meeting. All right. So I always like to give people tasks. If Shannon called me and said, hey, this person, I think you should work with them. They're really hungry. I think they've got potential. Well, I'm going to give them a task to see whether they actually are, what Shannon said. So I may say, hey, I want you to listen to Earl Nightingale's Stranger's Secret, make notes and send them to me. Right. So I'm testing to see if they are actually, this is not somebody who I'm trying to cajole to building. This is someone who's open to building, they're hungry, and I'm going to work with them. My next task will be, hey, we have that meeting on Wednesday. I want you to bring a random number, right? 20 names to the meeting, whatever it may be, 200 names to the meeting. And then I'm going to go through the perfect invite training with them. And I'm going to teach them how to invite those people to either a general presentation, or we can do an affiliate launch call. The key with helping people to build is to give them a script that the prospect is comfortable with. And that's where the perfect invite training comes in. It's not that people don't want to build. Sometimes they just don't know how to build. So giving people scripts is it's a very good tool to give them. And that helps to build momentum. If anyone in your business, if they say, I don't want to do 200 names and numbers. I want to see how it goes for me first. I want to see, how much money I make. That you always get that, let me see how it goes for me first. A phrase to combat that is success loves speed. Of course, we respect the wishes of anyone who's adamant that no, they want to see how it goes. But I've converted a lot of people from I just want to see how it goes to building by reminding them that success loves speed. Another reminder that anyone who's building a business should be using a spreadsheet like this. Otherwise, their brain is going to feel like a blender. This helps you to stay organized. And always remind the person that you're working with that even though they may not have the credibility just yet, because a lot of people don't want to build, or they don't want to open up their contacts because they feel as though they're not credible yet. Remind them that they can leverage you, or they can leverage an upline, or they can leverage anyone in the business. Even though they may not have the results yet, somebody in the organization is getting results and they can leverage that person. So if they were speaking to someone in their contacts, and that person said, hey, well, how much money are you making? Because you started, what, 2 weeks ago? How much money are you making? Well, that person can simply say, hey, well, as you know, I just got started. I'm enjoying my journey. I'm learning loads, taking a few trades. I've won some. However, I've just got started. However, let me introduce you to my upline, Shannon. She's been in the business for over 2 years. Da, 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 da. This is not an edification training, but it's just to remind you of the power of edification. So let's get into the nitty gritty, right? You now have the person. Don't worry, I know this slide is a bit all over the place. Just I'll explain it. You now have the person on a Zoom call. They have agreed to it could be that they've agreed to prospect, or they've agreed to do an affiliate launch call. My best tap routing vehicle is affiliate launch calls. I love affiliate launch calls. It's my favorite thing, and I'll show you how to set them up. Okay, but it may be that they've agreed to do an affiliate launch call, or it may be that they've agreed to just prospect for the next Zoom call. So let's say Shannon's doing a Zoom call tomorrow at 7. They're going to prospect to get people onto that Zoom call. There's different levels of intensity. So now we need to teach people how to do a list. Okay. The easiest thing to do is to say, go and make a list of 200 names and numbers. And they may be able to do it, they may not. True, they could just go through their phone book and just put down numbers. But if you give them some guidance, it's gonna really make their job a lot easier. So what we're doing is we're tap routing into their warm market, but we want to give them some guidance. Is Alicia on the call? Oh, Alicia's not on the call. So Alicia Banton, she is a specialist in a training called Frog Legs. Frog Legs is a guided way of getting people to make a list of 1 or 200 people. Okay, I think she's going to be doing a training on this soon, but I'll go through the categories right now. So you could just do this with your prospect on a Zoom call. Top tip, top tip. I'm going to go through frog legs right now. Okay. So frog legs is categories to help people create a list of 200 people. So I would say something like, write down the names of 20 friends. Write down the names of 20 relatives. We're taprooting. Now we're taprooting, guys. Now we are taprooting. Now, when you see that pen hit the paper and they're writing names, get excited because one of those names could be the next, right? Premium Bells could be the next, um, Caroline could be the next whoever. So write down the names of 20. Right. So I've done it in two ways. You can set it for homework. So you give them the categories and then say, hey, I want you to get the list to me by Wednesday, for example. You can do that. And that's fairly effective because remember, they've already agreed to do it. But you know what's more effective? Actually staying on the Zoom and maybe giving them how long? 2 minutes or so, 2, 3 minutes. Give a time each section and say, right, what we're going to do now is actually create your list live on this call. So what you do is you explain the category, then give them a time limit to write down the names. Then you come back and say, it's end of that time. Now we're moving on to the next category. If you do it on the Zoom call, what are the pros and cons? Well, the cons are it's time consuming. It's time consuming. I'm not going to lie to you. But if you're serious about building a business, this is something that you will consider. I've done this. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. I do it case by case. But when I do it, it's more effective. So staying on the Zoom call and getting people to write the list whilst you're on the Zoom call is extremely, extremely effective. So friends, relatives, occupation. So you want them to yeah, it gives them that added pressure as well. 20 friends, 20 relatives, 20 people that they've worked with. Oh, for occupation. Remind them that they've probably worked in so many different jobs, so many different careers and sectors. Geography is all the people that they know outside of their hometown or city. Maybe they've traveled a lot. Social media, self-explanatory. Local is the people they know in the local area, their neighbors, the local shopkeeper, so on and so forth. Education, all of their education from nursery, kindergarten, right through to their master's degree, their doctorate, whatever it may be. Groups, church groups, tennis club, chess club, mother and baby group. Okay. So many different groups. And S same are people that you have in common. So your cousins, friends, or your friends, relatives, your friends, colleagues. Um, really push them to do at least 10 in that one. Same is quite hard, but they should be able to do 10 in that one. So that's frog legs. There's another acronym, WHIP. WHIP, WHIP. Get them to do at least 10 W, work ethic. Who do you know who has an incredible work ethic? H, hungry. Who do you know is really hungry for success? I, influential. Who do you know who's really influential online and offline? P, powerful. Who do you know who's powerful? So between whip and frog legs, you should be able to get a nice list of 200 people. I can send this in the group. These are just prompts. You could actually just send this to them to prompt because these just help you think of people that you may have forgotten, right? So the best athlete you know, the most optimistic person you know. So these are just prompts that you can send them, or you can share your screen and get them to look at it. But these work quite well. Your accountant, your former bosses, you're just helping them to get gold. We're tap rooting. This is tap rooting at its finest. And the only other thing that I would do once you have, there's two parts to tap routing. They need to create so tap routing is getting your contacts or your members or your leaders to create a list. But the second part is you've got the list. Now what we're going to do with the list? Now we need to invite those people somewhere. You're either going to invite them to an event, you're going to invite them to a Zoom call, or you're going to invite them to an affiliate launch, anything where they are seeing a presentation. Okay. You now need to teach them how to invite. Now, on another training, I can do the perfect invite. And I don't want to do information overload. But what you're doing is you're teaching them what to do next. And that could be either giving them a short script. Okay, here's a script that you can use to call your prospects to get them onto a presentation. Or you can go through, it doesn't have to be the perfect invite. This is just an example. It could literally be you're just teaching them what you do. How do you get people on the calls? We'll teach them what you do in the most simple and effective way. Okay, so that they're encouraged to do it. So I've mentioned affiliate launch calls. I love doing launch calls. In fact, I'm going to do a shameless plug right now. If anyone on this call would like to do a launch call with me, I'd love to do it. Of course, I love launch calls. Launch calls are a way to launch your business. Even if you've been in the business for some time, you can relaunch it. You can relaunch your business at any time. I will do a special training with you, a special launch call training, and then we will run the launch call. So a launch call, affiliate launch call is essentially a business overview that I will lead. Unless you want to lead it, you're more than welcome to, but I'm happy to lead it. The only thing that the person would need to do, whether it's you or one of your members, is minimum introduce me and edify me on the call. Maximum, if they wanted to do a training or wanted to do part of the presentation, give a testimony, no problem. The only reason I say I will do everything is to make it less scary, because a lot of people, they fear public speaking. So I take that pressure away by offering to do everything, as long as you can just introduce me. But you can do as much or as little as you want. But let me tell you something. These are so effective. Just put a one in the chat box if you've seen one of these launch calls in action and you know that they're effective. The way I'll train you, you will have a really nice number on the call, and we're going to close a lot of people. We're going to close a lot of people. I love it. I normally do incentives on the call. We make it fun. We do a training. They're great. They really, really are. Special offers. I can do a quick training on a six-figure blueprint, but you're going to get an injection of new members on your call. So to facilitate it, we're going to need a flyer, right? Um, so we'll create a flyer. We'll have me and you on the flyer, and anyone else that you want on the flyer as well. There could be another leader. I'm just going to flick through these flyers. See the lovely Shannon here. He's done so many of these. There's different ways to approach the flyer. Introduction to the financial markets. Take profit in the financial markets. You can have an input on the flyer as well. There's so many that we've done. There's the Jamaican couple that I mentioned earlier. I believe they're about to hit Prodigy 5K. Alicia Banton, who I mentioned earlier. This is actually a famous cricket player in the UK that we did one with in a previous company. So I definitely recommend either for you to do a launch call or for you to encourage your team to do a launch call. They're very, very effective. And for me, this is the most effective way to taproot. Why? Because we're going to work with someone who's in the organization. They could be brand new, and we are going to explode their business by doing an affiliate launch. An affiliate launch is a way of launching your business in the same way that professional companies do. When Apple have a new phone, they don't just sneak it onto the shelves and you just discover it by accident. They do a big presentation, and there's people queuing and they go, hey, we've launched a new phone, guys. Professionals launch their business. Any professional network marketer launches their business, and this is how you get the foundation of your business, because you have an explosion. Okay, so we'll do a training, we'll get the list going, and I'll teach you how to invite for the launch call. But they're super, super serious. So guys, that is taprooting in a nutshell. It's literally getting into your contacts in them. And guys, be creative. Maybe there's something that you've discovered that that is very clever in terms of getting into people's contacts. Be creative, share, absolutely. But I'll take questions. I'll take questions. If there are any questions, please raise your hand if you want to come on and speak live, or you can pop them in the chat box. But if the information was clear, just put a 222 in the chat box. If you want clarification on anything, please let me know. If you've got any questions, let me know. I know it is late in different parts of the world. We can't all be like Shannon, where it's like, tea time. Amazing, amazing. But when we're sleeping, she's still working. When we're sleeping, she is still working. I wake up to messages at 3 in the morning. I'm like, my God. And she's like, I had to wake up to pee. I'm like, okay, no problem. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Okay, guys, seems like there's no questions. Um, Taprooting, I would say just start doing it. Just see everyone in your organization as valuable, but phone book, their phone book could have gold. I do not want anyone to leave the organization without there being an attempt to taproot that individual. Because if they leave, which a lot of people do leave, the consolation to them leaving is the fact that you taprooted. Okay, so I hope it doesn't come across as mercenary. That's the word I was looking for earlier. I hope it's not a mercenary thing. It's a clinical business approach sprinkled with love because we're building relationships as we're taprooting. Okay, Gold Profits has a question. Shall I? I'm gonna. Yeah, I think you can just unmute yourself, Gold Profits.
Yeah, hi.
Hey.
So I have a small team of people. One of them is very busy and not really participating at the moment, but the other one, I know he has a big list, but he's kind of one of those people who's like, I want to see if this works for me first, and then I can, you know, tell my warm market like, hey, this works. But at the same time, today he was like, oh, I have some people I want to show. So one of my questions is it possible to like literally ask somebody for their list and be like, listen, I'll prospect your list for you? Is that doable? Have you ever
Yeah.
done that before?
That's a great question, and I'm actually going to add that to my presentation for next time. Absolutely. So there's two things you can do actually. So thank you because you've expanded my presentation. So two things, guys. I want you to write this down. Firstly, when someone's done a list, they may be nervous about making a calls. And of course, that's normal. That can happen. You're going to have some people that gung ho, no problem, let me do it. And some people are nervous. So before we go into what Gold Profits has suggested, because there's a step before that, is um you can do shadow calls, right? So you could either do this on Zoom or you can do it in person where I will take the lead and say, right, we're gonna call your people now. You're gonna so so many different ways you can do it. They can either call and then say, hey, I'm with my mentor, you can do it that way, or you call and say, hey, I hope you don't mind me calling. I'm actually friends with da da da. Da. I know some people are worried about GDPR and stuff like that. It does work, but if especially if you've got the permission from that person, but just be careful with that one. So you can co-call, um, but what was suggested is actually taking the list off and calling. So it's similar to what I just said. So absolutely you can do that. Um, we used to do it all the time. So just create the list, give it to me, and I will make the calls. So this is a form of trench work. Let me explain why. Because what I do sometimes is I will when I say I'm going to help you go 3 and 3, sometimes in order to drive volume, I will take the list, I will make the calls, I will get them to that first rank or get them to their 3 and 3. I will go back to that person and say, hey, great list. Congratulations. You're now apprentice or you're now 3 and 3. They're happy. And then they may even be encouraged to take the building side more seriously. But yeah, you can absolutely, it's more work, but it can definitely produce fruit. Why? Because we've just said that it could be gold in that list. So because there could be gold, we should be motivated to take that level of action, even though it's more work. So in answer to the question, it's a case by case. Some people hate it because they say it can make that leader lazy. That's why it's case by case. But if there's gold in there and we want to get to that gold, then sometimes we have to go the extra mile. The only thing to consider is um, just just counteracting any potential kind of pushback in terms of how did you get my number? Who gave you my number? Sometimes that happens, right? How did you get my number? They shouldn't have given you my number. Um, so there's things that can be done. Maybe a text. Maybe that person can send a text in advance. Hey, you're going to receive a call from my colleague. Da, 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 da. That can warm up the conversation. But the way you approach the call as well can really warm the conversation as well. But yeah, the answer is yes. It was a long-winded answer, but the answer is yes. You can
Thank
absolutely do
you.
that. You can take the list, make the calls yourself. And you know what? Sometimes I've done that, gone through a list of 200 and only gotten, 5 people onto a call. And of those 5 people, even if one gets started, that one may or may not go on to do something special, but I'm going to taproot that one, right? I'm going to taproot that one. And you just never know where a taproot can go and where it can lead to. And I think that's the exciting thing about a taproot, is that you just never know where it's going to lead, who's going to come to your business. The person who is going to max this comp plan hasn't even joined this business yet, potentially. In what's that company called? The product space company, the first company to ever do it, Amway. In Amway, the highest earner in Amway didn't join Amway until 10 years into the business's existence, right? So it just goes to show that we should be so excited over taprooting, because you just could get someone who explodes this business. Fantastic. Great question. We have another question. Shel, feel free to unmute your mic.
Sorry, I was just going to suggest something to Go Profits.
Please.
What Des done for me, Go Profits, was I literally just called the person. So I would suggest maybe being with the person that's got the list. Even if it's over a Zoom, I don't know. But what happened with Des is I called the guy and I was just like, hey, etc., etc. I'm just going to pass you over to Des, and then Des literally closed that person. So I would suggest being with the person, letting them call, speak quickly, and then just say, I'm going to pass you over to someone that's going to introduce you to something amazing, etc., etc. I know Des sort of went over that, but I just wanted to use my explanation, my example, because he closed them straight away. And I was like, oh, and he offered them, 2 incomes. And I think that was a surprise to the guy. He was like, 2 incomes? And he was like, yeah, do you want to make 1 or 2? And he was like, oh, okay, both at the time. So yeah, I would suggest being with them for sure. Because I think if someone called me, and that's the truth, if someone called me and said, hey, I want you to join a business, I'll be like, what? Do you know what I mean? So definitely suggest. So that's what I wanted to say there. Sorry.
No, great. Thank you for emphasizing that. Again, there are more than, I hate this analogy, but, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And yeah, that one is definitely very, very effective. Does anyone else have any other top tips? Because that was a good one. Any top tips anyone wants to share when it comes to taprooting? Please do.
Hey, I've got one tip. I remember in our first company, what we would do is we would get lists from our customers, and what we would do is just call the list but say, are you free? The person's tied up, but they really wanted to get you onto the webinar. So where we've got the 30-day of blitzes, you could maybe just say, can you make this call at 7 p.m. and see if they can get on? So you're not necessarily trying to sell it to them on the phone, but you're just saying, there's something available that they wanted to let you know about. Are you available to get onto the call and see whether that might work? Because that did work for me quite well in the first company.
Powerful. Thank you so much for that, Tamer. Really appreciate it. Amazing. Any other top tips for taprooting? Incredible. Okay, guys, we're bang on, just a minute over, 1 minute over. But I appreciate every single one of you. And guys, we're in the groups as well. So if you have any taprooting success stories, share them in the group to encourage everyone else. And we look forward to the next Icon mentorship call. Shannon, when's that? What is it on? When coming up?
Wednesday at 9. Really important one, I think, for a lot of people, and a good reminder. But it's going to be the importance of mentorship, but also how to be a good mentee, especially if you're trying to attract a mentor. So that'll be a good one.
Ooh, I'm gonna. Are you doing that one? Or am I doing it?
Me.
Brilliant stuff. I'm gonna turn up with my notepad and pen. I'm gonna be a student. I cannot wait. Absolutely incredible. Phenomenal, guys. I want to respect your time. Have a great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing all of you at the very top. Nothing but love and light. Take care, guys.